After an emotional day of students expressing frustration with gun laws, a big question is whether Republicans will be on board with restricted gun laws. To CPAC Chairman Matt Schlapp on the big issue that is facing the GOP at this very moment. Matt, it's been a big issue at CPAC today. Give us your thoughts first on what we saw last night, late yesterday evening with President Trump and the students and the parents and the teachers. It was unprecedented. We'd never seen anything like this. 19 years after Columbine, the world watching inside the White House, all of these people, all of these victims express themselves.
Yeah, I think it was a riveting thing to watch and to be a part of for just those of us who are on the outside looking in. It must be terrible to be, in one of these families where you lose a loved one. And I think the president did the right thing. He should deserve and deserves a lot of credit for the tone and the approach. And I think the vice president who spoke to us today at CPAC just mere moments ago, he had the same approach as well, which is, as Americans, we got to work together to try to figure out if there are laws that need to be changed, but also we have to address this real darkness in society where people are lurching out to violence. And for teachers and students in schools, they ought to be safe in America. They ought to be safe and they ought to be secure, and they shouldn't have to fear for their lives.
Well, there's no doubt this is an issue where everyone's going to be part of the solution. Also, the ultimate solutions that come out of the White House won't be universally loved. But there are some things, of course, that, the higher age, I don't think you're going to get a lot of pushback on that. But the one thing I did see, and I think we all kind of saw last night, was the most pushback seemed to be on letting some teachers who have the ability or adapt, as President Trump would say, with firearm safety, carry them inside the schools. I happen to think it's a good idea. But, there was some pushback on that. What's the mood inside CPAC today with respect to some teachers, some qualified teachers carrying firearms?
Well, the people that assemble at CPAC believe strongly in the Bill of Rights. And, of course, the Second Amendment is number 2. And it's a compact with the American people. And I think the people in this room, many of them own firearms, and they are certified to have conceal and carry. What I would say to teachers, they shouldn't do anything they're uncomfortable with. What I like better is the idea that you have professionals in schools, professionals at security and safety who are on premises. Charles, I drop off 4 of my girls most mornings to one school, and there is an armed off-duty policeman who takes in all the cars for the drop-off. But when school opens, he gets in his car and drives away. I think it would comfort a lot of parents to know that there's a professional there, maybe more than one, during school hours to make sure if some heinous criminal wants to come in and attack their children, that there's some protection there. I think it makes a lot of sense.
What about, and I know Wayne LaPierre spoke, and I know he put up a vigorous defense for the Second Amendment, but there will be continued pressure on selective restrictions on certain weapons. Of course, Wayne LaPierre, he slammed the critics today of armed security guards. Before I ask you this, I want to share with the audience one of the things that he had to say, so let's take a listen.
If that's true, armed security makes us less safe, let's just go ahead and remove it from everywhere. Let's remove it from the White House, from Capitol Hill, and remove it from all of Hollywood.
All right, so again, that was his issue, but there is a push to remove one specific weapon, and that's the AR-15, right? It's, a lot of people think A and the R mean assault rifle. There's been pushback. It's a single-shot weapon. Nevertheless, it seems like it's become something of a dividing rod there.
Yeah, the problem in all this, Charles, is that there's a very simple concept here. In America, where we have the highest crime rates, we have the most anti-gun laws or gun control laws. So the problem that this juxtaposition, the idea that somehow passing more gun bans or other changes, that's going to have a crime impact, is proven over and over again to be untrue. We had an assault weapons ban in this country before. What those assault weapons were, it's a nice term that comes from polling, but those assault weapons were merely hunting rifles. And we have to ask ourselves, there is an element of security. When you have people in our society that seemingly are more prone to violence, I think we've had too many of these examples where we have people in our society that are going to reach out in a violent way. We have to be able to protect ourselves in those situations. If you're a young woman, if you're below the age of 21,
I know, Matt,
I have a lot of daughters who are in that category.
Part of protecting ourselves is to prohibit them from having access to a weapon in the first place.
Because the problem, Charles, is this. It comes down to a fundamental. It is the criminal that has the gun. Most criminals have guns that are legally possessed and that are stolen. And it is the victim of those crimes. If we prevent the victims, the future victims, from being able to protect themselves, to have security for their lives and for their kids, we will have accomplished nothing. I actually think having more professionals armed in public settings, people who have gone through the training, who have been certified by the state, I think that can keep us all more safe.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with you. We know, though, that maybe this time around there may have to be some political concessions that were not probably considered in the past. Whatever it is, it feels like we've reached a breaking point in this country, and people are demanding a lot of things, or at least something different, and arming more folks to keep our kids safe. I don't see why anyone would push back against that. Matt, congratulations, by the way. You guys have gotten off to a roaring start. It's going to be a great CPAC.
Thanks, Charles. We appreciate it very much.
All right, see you again soon.